管理哲学之父，欧洲最伟大的管理思想大师查尔斯·汉迪曾在自己的自传《你拿什么定义自己 Myself and Other More Important Matters》中提到，自我认知的过程就像是拼接拼图。如果用5个词去定义自我认知的过程，我们会怎样定义自己？今日我们和现任亚裔名人堂的首席执行官兼主席谢明锦一起走进他的生活，去了解他如何在不同族裔和文化中架起了文化沟通的桥梁，以及他如何定义自己。谢明锦又名 Maki Mae， 其父亲来自台湾，其母亲是日裔美国人，来自日本名古屋具有名望的家族。谢明锦的父母从小就鼓励谢明锦要学习战胜困难，勇敢面对生活。谢明锦被人们所熟知的身份是一名音乐家。谢明锦从小热爱艺术，尤其是喜爱音乐。他从4岁开始学钢琴，10岁开始学小提琴，曾拿到歌剧学习的奖学金。但在父母的建议下，转而在毕业后从事金融行业，进入德意志银行，后进入传媒行业，在迪士尼等公司工作。提及如何定义自我认知的过程，谢明锦用5个词形容自己，分别为变革性的 transformative， 具有高文化情商的 culture intelligence， 文化传播大使的 ambassador， 具有好奇心的 mischievous， 和对生活的珍惜，负责与延续的 responsibility。
Well, the first word is transformative. I like to transform things. I like to transform my environment, transform people, especially with music. I like to transform the vibration in the room with art and with culture. I think that's very important to always remember when you step into the room, it's different because you're in it. And I always say that to my 2 daughters. I say that to my friends. You're not just living on this planet, making money, you're transforming the space, you're transforming other people's experience. That's very important. The second is I really believe in the phrase cultural intelligence. My family placed a very high value on culture, very high value on intelligence. I don't think that it's really talked about in America just yet. So for Chinese and Asians who are understanding cultural intelligence as a tool, as a powerful way to distinguish ourselves and to elevate our story, that's really the way to do it. And I love cultural intelligence. But the third is not just being intelligent about culture, but also being an ambassador. And my third word for myself definitely is an ambassador of elegance, of grace, of understanding. I'm not very good as much as I should be, you know. I always think of my mother. My mother is Japanese American, but she grew up in Nagoya. And she is the most elegant woman in the world. If you had a list of top 10 elegant ladies, she would be on that list, you know, along with Grace Kelly and other elegant people. I think it's very important to be a cultural ambassador because when you're a cultural ambassador, the walls come down. People have less fear and less violence against you because you're cultural and you're an ambassador. So how can they hate you if you're an ambassador? So I think that is very important, especially being a mother and being a woman, to always be an ambassador to others and kind of have more leverage to make a difference. The fourth is very important, which is I think it's gets me into trouble sometimes. The fourth is I'm a little bit mischievous. I'm a little curious. When I have a question, I want to ask why, which is not very good to do because a lot of Asians are taught not to ask why. You just do what you're told. So I'm always very curious, and that has made me very successful. I worked at Disney and I worked at finance and banking, and that curiosity has made lots of money for companies I work for. But the curiosity has also gotten me into trouble sometimes because we're supposed to be quiet and not say anything. So curiosity to me is a big thing for me, and I constantly struggle between being too curious and wanting to try something new and be a little bit more quiet and respectful. The fifth one is that definitely I do see the world in a very different way because I was born mostly deaf. I could not hear when I was born. And I was born already dead. I was blue, wasn't breathing. The umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck when I was born. And then 6 months later, I died again. It was called crib death. I was blue, not breathing. My mother shook me and woke me up. So I have a different understanding of life. I feel that if you're given a chance to live, you really need to make the world a more beautiful place, because I wasn't supposed to be here, and here I am. So I think all of us have that journey, and we have that responsibility to make the world a little bit more beautiful. So I think those would be the 5 phrases for myself.
伴随着悠扬的琴声，歌声绕梁。然而鲜为人知的是，谢明景在一出生时就左耳完全失聪，右耳仅有少许听力。但他凭借对音乐的执着和热爱，在后来的音乐事业上获得了成功，是亚裔社会里女性代表。谢明景曾在琵琶地音乐院接受花腔女高音音域的声乐家特别声乐训练，拜师于 Boris Safransky 学习小提琴，因此他练就了完整深厚的古典音乐基础。后谢明景在女儿的鼓励下，曾参加美国达人秀，受到广大观众的喜爱。后来，因为谢明景成为第一个在美国棒球职业大联盟季后赛演唱国歌的亚裔美国人。此外，谢明景曾在旧金山所举办的声乐比赛中，分别用法语、意大利语和英语演绎了3首歌曲，并在女高音项目中夺冠。
So this went on for quite some time. I used music as a way to escape. When I had an unhappy marriage, I escaped. Finally, I got the divorce. I was very happy. I was doing my work to support my children. And one day, my oldest, she's now 22, but she's 4th grade. She came to me. She said, "Mommy, you need to do this. America's Got Talent." I said, "What's America's Got Talent?" "No, it's a very big TV show. And this person sang opera. And you can sing opera. You can do your violin. You should sing opera and do the violin on electronic music." I said, "What is electronic music? Mom's classically trained. I don't know anything about electronic music." So she played Skrillex, who was very big. And she said, "This will be a big hit." I said, "This is very terrible music. It hurts my ears. It's too loud. It's not my style." She goes, "Mom, you're not cool. You have to be cool to be an American mom." I said, "Oh, I'm not cool. Okay, I better do this." So I did an opera and violin to Skrillex, and it went viral. And I got picked up by management. I went on America's Got Talent. I went to the semifinals. And I had a whole dancers with a light up violin, my violin light up. And that led to me playing with Skrillex at Burning Man, playing with Diplo. I was at EDC. I played in the big spaceship. I met Elon Musk at Burning Man. I had a lot of interesting friends from music. And I thought, okay, maybe my music is different, and it opens up a little bit to other Asians in music, because Asians in American music is not that many, very, very little. And it made me cool to my daughter, so it's okay. Then my daughter said that she really needed me to be closer to home. I was traveling a lot, and she was in high school, Arcadia High School, so she needed me to be closer. So I took on a job helping the Performing Arts Center in the high school. And I was doing that for a while. I said, okay, well, this is nice. I might retire now and help with this arts. And then my younger sister died, and she's my only sister. And she hit her head after taking a bath, and 3 days later, she was gone. She was only 40. So when that happened, I thought, okay, what am I doing with my life? She's 40. I have these 2 kids. I have this music. I'm doing arts. I'm being successful. But what am I doing for the community? I'm not doing anything for the community.
谢明景妹妹的不幸离世，让她突然意识到个人的成就可以帮助更多的人。女儿的鼓励使她想为亚裔群体做出贡献。谢明景创下了格莱美奖自1992年颁发该奖项以来，亚洲女性首次被格莱美年度最佳传统流行声乐专辑和最佳流行2重奏乐团队表演类别年度最佳。谢明景的专辑《The Seasonal Songbook》列入候选名单，创下了先例。格莱美奖又称格莱美，是由唱片学院颁发的奖项，意在表彰美国音乐界的杰出成就。格莱美与奥斯卡奖、艾美奖和托尼奖被认为是美国4大年度娱乐奖项之一。谢明景独树一帜的音乐风格不仅得到了西方主流世界的认可，他也是国家录音艺术科学学院的 Recording Academy 的投票成员。在该组织中，亚洲人仅占该组织成员的2%。正如谢明景称，他立志成为文化传播大使，他的音乐给听众带来了力量和勇气。 在谢明锦首张慈善专辑的 Seasonal Songbook 中，谢明锦用13种语言与 The Doors 的摇滚名人堂吉他手 Robin Kenter 合作，演绎了 My Favorite Things 的桑巴雷鬼音乐。桑巴雷鬼音乐是一个融合了多种文化形式和风格的音乐，其中包括桑巴、雷鬼、梅伦格舞以及其他艺术形式。提及这张专辑的制作过程，不得不提起亚裔名人堂。慈善专辑的 Seasonal Songbook 是由总部位于西雅图的 Robert Chain Foundation 的 Digital Equity Initiative 和亚裔名人堂发起，呼吁社会在新冠疫情期间停止对亚洲仇恨运动而发起。新冠疫情期间，从言语骚扰到各种身体袭击，甚至数起命案，全美报告了近万起歧视亚裔事件，针对亚裔的仇恨犯罪 hate crime 屡次发生。根据纽约市警察局公布的最新数据显示，2021年的仇恨犯罪激增 96%，2020 年到2021年受新冠肺炎疫情的影响，针对亚裔的攻击事件暴增 343%。然而，纽约不仅仅是个例。根据旧金山市警局公布的最新数据显示，2021年仇恨犯罪激增 567%。谢明锦正在用自己的力量，用自己的音乐呼吁社会对仇恨犯罪的不宽容，已经引起社会的关注以及对亚裔的保护。
So a lot of Asian organizations in America sit around and talk a lot. And they have panel sessions and they talk and talk. And it's been 40 years of talking and talking. Nothing is changing. We're seeing violence escalating. We're seeing jealousy escalating. We're seeing people very mean to Asians, even though they're successful. If they're half and half, Eurasian, even worse. I mean, we're seeing a lot of bias and discrimination. Even 2 weeks ago, I heard this congresswoman in Texas said, oh, Chinese are all communists, so we don't want any Chinese students coming into Texas. Well, that's just crazy. You're not separating between the politics of the state and the citizen. It's totally different. So that's the same thing that I started to see with Stop Asian Hate and all this hate crime was that people were blaming Chinese for COVID. But to the Western eyes, all Asians are Chinese. All Chinese are Asian. They can't differentiate between Chinese and Japanese and Korean and Vietnamese. They're all the same. So if they're mean to Chinese, they become mean to everyone. So suddenly you're seeing women being especially targeted. 78% of hate crime victims in the United States are women. They're not Black women. They're not Hispanic men. They're Asian women being targeted. 78% is a very high number. And 83% of human trafficking victims that were trafficking into the ports of LA, San Francisco, Seattle, are Asian girls and women. They're not Russian boys. They're not South American women. They're from Asia. So we have this history now of trafficking, history of violence against Asian women, history of violence against children, and nothing was getting done. You know why? It was not getting done because I learned from my current job that hate crime is very difficult to define. Okay, we're working to change that this year. Hate crime is difficult for prosecutors to define. They say, oh, it's just a burglary. Oh, it's just bullying or having a bad day. Hate crime is hard to define. Bullying is hard to prosecute. This is very difficult. And then they say one step further. Well, the difference between hate crime and having a bad day of bullying, mental illness is, if you have a bad day, we'll just fine you $500. And then after you spend one night in jail, then you can go back and you start beating up another Asian woman again or a Chinese lady or grandma. Okay, no problem. You go back. Some people have been persecuted 32 times and they keep going to the street and they keep beating up Chinese people. So I got tired of it. You know why? As a mother of 2 daughters, if anything happened to my 2 daughters, I would be so upset. And I remember that 10 or 15 years ago, there was a group of mothers and they started this thing called Mothers Against Drunk Driving in the United States. Same thing. They said, we're tired of these drunk drivers killing our kids. And they said, it's very hard to prosecute, impossible to do, forget it. And they said, no, we have to have laws against drunk driving. We have to have seatbelt laws. This is all very important. These mothers made a difference. So I said, okay, you know what? I don't have a group of mothers who can come together, make a difference about hate crimes against their kids, but I have to say something. So I said that from my heart. I actually shot it right here in my living room. And I said it as a mother. And I said, you know what? We have to make hate crime a crime. I don't know how we're going to do it, but it's not okay to hate an Asian woman or child or a grandpa just because, you feel that you can get away with it. And this is the part that I wanted people to know. And I'm so excited that it went viral. It was unexpected, but it was really something I felt very passionate about. And because of that, I was covered in a lot of outlets, including Phoenix TV. Very grateful for the coverage, but we really need to come together and do something about it so we can be safe.
自我概念在心理学中被定义为一个人对自身存在的体验，这种体验不仅仅是源自经验、反省和他人的反馈，更是逐步加深对自身的了解。心理学上对自我概念比作一个有机的认知机构，由态度、情感、信仰和价值观等组成，贯穿个体的思想行为。谢明锦在一次次机会和经验中，让他更深刻地理解亚裔群体的优势和劣势。谢明锦向我们讲述了他作为亚裔美国人在学校里面被误认为是留学生的体验。
So the difference is that when you're in Asia, you understand that only 3 Asian countries have never been colonized by Western power. You see the impact of Western countries in your country. And you see that, yes, they're there to help you with the roads and the infrastructure and IT and the military, but they colonized our country. They colonized all the countries. There's only been 3 that have never been colonized. So when you grow up in Asia, you see that there is a symbiotic, synergistic relationship between, say, Americans in Asia and Asians living in America. There's a symbiotic working relationship there. It's helpful to each other. In other words, if you are an Asian living in Asia, you see that there's more respect that Americans have when they come to Asia. When they come to Asia, they're the minority. So they have more respect. And they don't speak the language too well. Their children go to the American school or the European school. They have more respect. They're there to do business with the country. They have more respect. They're there to negotiate with the diplomats. Asian stature is higher. Asians are higher there in Asia because we need Asians in Asia. So then if I'm an American and I'm Asian living in Asia, as I was, I felt like I had a lot of respect as an Asian. My mother worked for the National Taiwan University. She was a professor for 39 years. My father is in import-export, so very respectful. And I myself an American. So right away they said, oh, you're an American. Not only are you Asian and you can speak these languages, but you're an American. You wear makeup, you wear a backpack and sneakers. All the other Chinese girls, they have a uniform and the bowl cut. And I had a big perm and I had a retainer and I talked back to my mom. I was very loud. I said, oh, this is definitely not Chinese girl in Taiwan. You're definitely American because you talk back to everyone. And I think that this idea, being American in Asia and having the respect, and then being Asian in Asia, having that respect, changed my perspective. When I came to the United States, I went to boarding school in Massachusetts.
正如谢明锦表示，在亚裔美国人的标签之下，无论是在生活中、社会规则，甚至是政治政策上，亚裔美国人总遭受到同一种待遇，被冠上同一种刻板印象。久而久之，许多亚裔也懒得矫正与解释日常生活中所面对的诸多错误的假设与认定。目前，谢明锦所任职的亚裔名人堂，通过促进文化团结、种族间平等和提升亚裔在全球范围内的贡献，来克服反亚洲仇恨。亚裔名人堂的筹款活动一直在向创伤幸存者、有特殊需要的工人提供帮助，及向职业生涯早期的专业人士提供多元化奖学金。亚裔名人堂也是全球40亿亚洲人、太平洋岛民、土著和土著部落的主要倡导者。入选者因其变革性工作、倡导和持久性的文化遗产而受到赞誉，这些文化遗产将为子孙后代团结社区。下一期我们将随着谢明锦的角度去了解更多关于亚裔名人堂的故事。
您正在收看的是凤凰卫视。